Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what do you call a zombie that doesn't joke around? Dead serious. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Escape from Stalingrad Z from RAYBOX Games.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review.
In Escape from Stalingrad Z, 1 to 3 players take on the roles of various German and Soviet soldiers during the Battle of Stalingrad. But with a twist, right in the middle of the battle, wouldn't you know it, zombies appear. So they gotta kind of work together to kill the zombies instead of killing each other, which is what they did historically. Now, as I say, you can play this game with up to 3 players. My experience was playing it as a solo game, and so that is how I'm going to look at it for the purposes of this review. Now, at the beginning of the game, the player is going to start with the starting scenario. Now, you have a flip book, which has on one side the map you're going to play on, and on the other the special rules and information about that specific scenario. You're going to select a starting character. You're going to get their character sheet and their token or mini that you're playing with, and put that on the starting area on the board. Also, if there's any weapons or zombies or anything else that starts on that board, you can go ahead and you can place it there at that time. And doors. There's doors, too. Now, this is kind of a campaign scenario, and as the campaign begins, you're going to start with no weapons, and you're going to go ahead and have to find weapons as the scenario progresses. You're also going to have the opportunities to find more survivors that can join you and that you can interact with and can help you destroy zombies, and you play as another character during the game. Now, players here, of course, can move, and if you move, you have movement points depending on, what terrain you move into. That is going to matter if you move backwards, because facing is important in this game. How you move diagonally, you're going to spend more points than orthogonally, etc., etc. So movement is very important in this game. Next, of course, you can, attack. You have melee weapons that you can gather. You have ranged weapons that you can gather. Ranged weapons typically have kind of a point-blank range of so many spaces in which they're very effective. They become less effective beyond that point-blank range. Now, typically, weapons have kind of a stun and a wound ability there. So you can either, wound a zombie, meaning you can deal him a wound. If he just takes 1 wound, then he's out. Or you can stun them, meaning essentially they're not going to move or activate on their next turn. They're just going to remove the stun token. They can also interact with objects. They can search objects, hoping to, like I say, find weapons or other goodies. You're looking for things like ammo, food, medical kits, etc., that are going to help you, of course, in the game. So once you've expended all of your movement points on that turn, you've done attacking or activating with other units, and when you search, you can't do anything else, right? So you can just go to the place and you search. That's your full turn. Once you've done all of these things, and all of the players that you control have done all of these things, then you go to the zombie phase. Now, the zombies are going to spawn. You're going to randomly pull tokens and, just have it face down. And then when they get within line of sight, you can reveal them and see what they are. But there are different kinds of zombies. They're kind of your basic beta zombies, which just kind of move and they try to get closer to you. If they move adjacent to you and then you're still adjacent on the next turn, they lock onto you. If you're still adjacent one more turn, they will attack you. So that's kind of basically how they're moving. But then there are other zombies that can influence them. You have armored zombies. They can't be stunned. You have to wound them. So that means they can be harder to roll those hits against. You have the Kugelfish zombies. When they're stunned, instead of stopping being stunned, they essentially explode with toxic gas, and they leave a toxic gas marker on the board, which can affect anybody that ends their turn there. You have Alpha Primes. They have Leader of the Pack, but they also have some other kooky abilities that only become known to you as you progress through the campaign. Likewise, you have the Omegas. They too have Leader of the Pack, and they too will evolve over the course of the game. Now, very often, once you complete a scenario, you will be given choices. You can go one direction, you can go another direction, and that's going to lead you to different scenarios. It's going to, like I say, it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can go ahead and go to the various scenarios, and that may determine who you meet and kind of what kind of zombies you're up against or what kind of weapons you'll gain access to. So there's a lot of different things that are going to pop up over this course of this game as you play through it. A lot of choices. The game very much evolves as you play it. But in each scenario, you're going to go ahead, you're going to read the special instructions, you're going to attempt to accomplish what it says, you're going to play through to the next scenario, and then as you play through the various scenarios in the game, depending on what the victory conditions ultimately are, you will win. Escape from Stalingrad Z. So that's just a bare overview of this game. There is a lot more going on here. There is a lot more in terms of kind of the weapons you can get, the items you can get, how they function. And as I say, your interaction with the different zombies. Zombies spawn. For instance, you've got a track that kind of keeps track of the turns, and when they get to certain spots, then they spawn. So they don't spawn every round. But there's a lot more stuff going on here. I'm just giving you the basic rules overview here. So first of all, I've just played through the first few scenarios. I think I played through three or four. I can't remember. 3 or 4 scenarios. I just played for the first few scenarios here, and there's a lot of stuff I don't want to spoil because even in there, depending on where you go, there's access to certain things and what have you. But it's interesting to see the game evolve, and it's interesting to see what happens here. And so that's really cool. Like I say, I really appreciate the choose your own adventure aspect of this game. To me, that's one of the things that really makes it shine. I really like that. It feels in a lot of ways a lot of it feels like a very standard zombie game, moving, shooting, searching, which is stuff we see in a lot of zombie games. But here, I don't know. It feels like there's a real war game element here with the way the weapons work and interact and everything about it. There's just a real war game aesthetic here. Of course, it's set in Stalingrad here. And that brings me to another point, is the theme. I think this has such a wonderfully fun and inventive theme. A zombie outbreak in the middle of Stalingrad, right? That to me it was very appealing. I actually just learned about this game not too long ago and thought, wow, that sounds like kind of a fun, creepy theme. And so I really appreciated that. And like I say, married with this kind of choose your own adventure campaign thing, I think is really, really cool. I like the overall aesthetic. The artwork here is phenomenal. There's some great artwork in this book, and in the rule book and what have you. And I really like the flip book board. Right, you've just got you turn to the page you're going to play, and it's just a little flip book. It's very cool. I really like that quite a bit. Very fun, very inventive, and very workable. My only caveat here is I think with combat, I don't think it's overly complicated. But at the same time, I think it's maybe a hair more complicated than it needs to be. It seemed like they could have streamlined it just a bit. It's not long to learn it and to get into it, but I think I would have appreciated just a hair more simplicity for what it is. And that's my only real caveat here, because pretty much everything else about this game is really cool and fun, and I like a lot. I'll be excited to get this to the table again and play through this campaign, because already it's just a good story. And they're pretty quick. The scenarios I played are pretty quick. I don't know if that'll be the case as you get further and further along, but the ones I played have been great. And I have just really gotten a kick out of what I played of this game so far. Looking forward to continuing the campaign. So recommendation for Escape from Stalingrad Z is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, I ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on BoardGameGeek, Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history. I even upload some of my lectures on that channel. please go ahead, please check that out, please subscribe to that channel. It would mean a lot to me. And I'd ask you to please leave a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That also helps us out a lot as well. And if you are a fan of the channel, I'd ask you to please go ahead and click on our Super Thanks button here on the YouTube page and consider leaving a contribution. We would really appreciate it. Why didn't the zombie get the job? They wanted someone a little more lively.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
The Discriminating Gamer, proudly serving the board game community for 14 years. In dog years.